How often do you ask yourself, what's wrong with me? Every day. Sometimes it's hard to feel in touch with people. Not very often because I know what is wrong with me. I am lazy to the point of not making myself food, and the rest falls in line behind. I hope you find the cure to your problem in some time. Most days. It never stops. Less now than I used to. It helped to realize that my conception of normal was just what I thought it was, but not what it actually was. Over time, through reading and exposure, I got a clearer idea of what I experienced compared to what others reported, and realized that a lot of the things I thought were weird about me really weren't. And in fact, my weirdnesses were timid compared to others. I also learned to listen to people. It's hard to tell in the moment, but people will tell you when you're out of line or odd. It's hard to notice it for yourself, because you just operate in your paradigm. But usually it all becomes clearer in retrospect. Like, for myself, in dribs and drabs, I would either have situations where people just seemed to act completely weird to me, or I wouldn't understand social stuff. I just wrote it off as people being weird. But there were about 4 to 5 times over the course of years where people alluded to the idea that maybe I was on the spectrum, monsieur. One day I took a pretty casual test that said I might fall under it. I then later took the RAADS test and landed on the positive, but high-functioning end of things. Now, if I'm not getting something, I tend to attribute it to that. Along the way, I read a good book called Look Me in the Eye that, while being a pretty entertaining book, described an experience a lot like my own, which didn't quite match the stereotypes often associated with those sorts of issues. I also have anxiety, which I've learned to attribute a lot of behaviors to as well. I took medication for a while, which alleviated some of it, but made me realize what is anxiety and what is me outside of that anxiety, which makes it easier to acknowledge for what it is, rather than acting on it. When I'm laying in bed thinking of all the shit I did many years ago that could have been avoided. Every time I see people at my age going out, having parties, drinking alcohol and starting to have relationships, while I'm sitting home and read, or draw or play some video games with my friends. But I'm all around not average, physically and psychologically. That's confirmation bias. You don't see all the other people who are now doing those things. That's because you're above average. Just kidding. What I did was try and going to a party once, drinking once. Try something new, and if I don't enjoy those activities, then I find myself to be happier to stick with what I already am comfortable doing. After every interaction with another humanoid, I never ask myself that. My girlfriend just tells me. Was nearly every day for the past 10 years. Last week I decided I needed to make a change, so decided to delete all my social media apps. Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Also have deleted dating apps such as Bumble and Tinder. I'm saying they've caused all this self-doubt and general lack of confidence in myself, but I am sure they haven't helped. A week off social media so far and haven't missed it in the slightest also means I've been spending less time on my phone. Once every month. Every day smiley face. Every single day. I do it 26 hours a day. Not anymore, but used to be multiple times a day winking face. The 365 days of the year. What if it's a leap year? Only February 29th is free of that question. At that moment I feel peace. I like the way you think. No need to downvote someone for injecting some humor into a heavy-ish topic. It's one of the best coping mechanisms there is. My boss recently pointed out that I laugh. A very particular laugh, but a laugh nonetheless, whenever something is wrong. And that might be one of the best compliments I've ever received. Keep cracking those jokes, and keep smoking wine every day. P.S. That being said, please drink wine and smoke responsibly. I don't know the exact long-term health effects of smoking wine daily, but it seemed relevant. 3 times a day at least. 24/7. Every single day, multiple times a day. Sometimes even over totally stupid things really. Every single fucking minute. Every couple minutes. I know what, now it's why. There's no point in figuring out why, it's what can I do to fix it. I ask myself these things on a daily basis. But after this much time it's fun to think of myself as an awesome supervillain. If I'm that bad, might as well make something of it. Be the overly dramatic gay skeleton lord you want to see in the world. I lose count, more so during the summer when depression hits the hardest. So many people are depressed in this thread. I sometimes wish I could be depressed like I was in high school to remember what it was like just so I can find out how I got out of it. But also to better empathize with people that go through it like you. But man, I hope you find ways to make the proper changes to make your life less painful. Thanks my dude. Like I'm in a better place than I was at my lowest. In a lot of ways I can manage better. But life can still suck. Like every summer, I try to ride it out and take it one day at a time. Oh, a fair amount. When I reply back to myself is when it really becomes apparent though. And that when you know what to work on. Literally every time I masturbate, you're not the only one. I ask myself, where does that highway go to? Probably every day, constantly. When I talk to my friends, find some people that won't make you so self-conscious. Every night, usually at 11 p.m. Just because you have a schedule, it sounds like you actually ask yourself that question in the most productive way possible. Yes, sir. Like twice a day. Once every 10 years, 6 months and 67 days. Not much really. I ask myself, what am I going to do? All the damn time though. I don't usually have an answer either. Same, my future is quite blurry. Monsieur. I think I went a couple of hours one time without thinking this thought. Every time I nut and look up at what I was just watching. I am a bad man. Quite often, it's like, what's wrong with you? Then I spiral into terrible health. It's awful and it isn't gonna stop. I agree with my thoughts. Though, only when I make a stupid mistake that I shouldn't have. It happens a little often but it's starting to happen less. That means you're learning. Yep. As often as I breathe. I ask myself that a lot. When I think about what I'd have to do to fix it, I usually decide against it. This perpetuates the cycle, at least 3 times a week. LMAO, I don't have to. My sister already does it for me. Finger guns and sad. Tell her to tell you what's wrong with you. The real question is, how often do you ask yourself, what's right with me? I don't know. I've never met you. Almost every day. Weekly. 30. If you're not fixing what's wrong with yourself, you're only enabling yourself to continue doing what is wrong. Frequently evaluating yourself is vital for personal growth. I agree. The better question people should ask themselves though is, what's something small that I can do that will make me into a better person? No, I know what's wrong. Almost every day, sometimes twice a day, probably because most people dislike me. You should ask those people. If they can't give you an answer, then the problem is the monsieur. Actually a lot, but I think now I am realizing I am stuck with myself for life and I can't change myself. Literally all the time. I'm frequently apathetic with little to no explanation. And I get really angry about it, to the level that I want to hit something. It's awful, but having headphones on me at all times helps. I get angry at my brother pretty often. It's really hard controlling your own emotions. If you can find music that channels your emotions, it's one of the best self-treatments. It can diffuse me in seconds. Strange how music can make that kind of change to our minds. Ravioli, ravioli. Music brings me serotonin. Every 69 seconds. Hee hee. What the fuck is wrong with me? Noting, that was pretty funny. Literally every day, every hour, every half hour, every minute, every second. Even though I know what's wrong. That's quite the pickle. Know why you do this to yourself? Or could it be that you never take the time to actually follow your own solutions? more often than I admit to. Every day on an average of 10 to 13 times a day. It's 10:30 a.m. monsieur. About 3 to 4 times I'm useless. Around 5 times a day or more, unless I am on my depression medication, then normally less. Every single time I'm on the golf course. A lot. I make dark jokes a lot and it carried over into my passive thoughts one time. I was walking down my school hallway and was subconsciously planning out a camera-free route for when I shoot up the school when I realized what I was doing and was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Just did one more time. I'm a huge klutz with anxiety. I ask myself this every day. Every day. I know the answer to it is usually depression, but I still ask. Every time I finish an entire packet of salted peanuts in under an hour. At least 7 times a day. When I act like myself. Simply myself. I hurt people. I thought I was nice and see that I spread the big sad without purpose and also repair this same sadness so it makes me look like the good guy. What's wrong with me? At least once a day, mostly at 3 a.m. during post-nut clarity. Would be easier to count the minutes per day that I don't ask myself that. Gee damn, I got problems. Never. I know I am really lazy. Like right now. At least once a day. Every time I go to school. Before, during, and after opening an incognito page. Every now and again when I get very depressed. Usually late at night. However, I'm asking, what is wrong with my emotions? Why am I so sad? Not asking if there is something actually wrong with me as a person. Because I don't need to ask in that case. That's a really great way of finding out about yourself without putting yourself deeper into a hole. I hope you find an answer, and if you don't, then maybe there really is no reason to be depressed and you should just be content. A few times a year. Never. Monsieur, wonder what's wrong me. After every porno watch session. At least twice per day. I'm a fucking mess. Thursday to Saturday watching everyone I know go out and have fun and enjoy time together. Meanwhile, I never seem to be invited, and if I ask people to meet up, they're out of town or busy. I'm in college and I have to fight tooth and nail for every fun moment with friends. Going into my senior year and I feel like so much time has been wasted and I'm so alone. I really feel for you on this one. I wish you didn't have to spend your time going through the years like you have now. In fact, no one should. If I ever were in your situation, I would have given up on finding a social circle to be in very early on. You persevered in spite of being practically rejected, and that's something to be really proud of. Bravo. Keep up that attitude and don't let life put you on the floor. The next best friend you can find besides others is yourself, and I hope you can learn to live in joy with yourself before finding others. Thank you for your kind words and encouragement. It means a lot. I will never stop fighting. I'm a member for a fraternity and a big program at my school, and even though I am often met with social failure and always being alone my entire life, I will always keep trying. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.